Good Monday morning. I am MPJ and this is FunFunFunction. I need to be honest with you today. I started out doing this episode as an episode about the bind function in JavaScript because, I figured that I would look at a keyword tool, see what people search for on YouTube, and see what kind of episode would be popular. And bind, that's up there, right in the heavens. So bind would most definitely bring in a lot of new viewers. So I sat down to do it. You know that feeling that you got in school when you had to do some homework? You felt like, oh, I need to do this, I have to do this, but I really don't want to. I would much rather play Xbox. That feeling. And that's super dumb, because these videos, I make these on my spare time. Nobody is forcing me to do them. So it's really a bizarre thing to feel, but somehow just optimizing after other people's needs, just the simple act of doing that, would just mess up my motivation. It would just mess up something in my... So I just went, screw it, I'm just gonna go out and I'm gonna make a video about this instead. The loss of motivation that you feel for a otherwise pleasurable activity when an external incentive is introduced. I want to talk about this because I think that a lot of people will recognize themselves in this feeling. Probably it's something that you felt when you got your first programming job. Programming, which was previously something that you did on your spare time because you liked it, is now something that you get paid to do, and somehow that makes you less motivated to do it. That is fascinating to me. This is of course not a new phenomenon. This is something that the author Daniel Pink has basically built his entire career talking about. Pink talks about 3 pillars of motivation: autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Purpose is what it sounds like. It's that you need to feel like there is a bigger plan behind what you're doing, and that it is a worthwhile thing to do in the grand scheme of things. Mastery means that the task that you are doing needs to be in skill level, it needs to be at the edge of your abilities, but not outside of them. And also not too far within your abilities, because if it's too far outside, you will be stressed out and you will feel like, oh, you won't get a sense of self-efficacy, which I will talk about later, that you don't get that feeling of, I can do this. And the opposite of that is if the activity feels too much within your abilities, you will feel bored because it's not challenging you. But the first one, autonomy, is the one that I want to spend the most time on today, because I think it's definitely the trickiest one to pull off. You probably felt this when there is a task that you feel like, this should be done. I want to do this. Nobody is telling you to do it. Nobody is rewarding you to do it, but you want to do it. And you do it, and it feels so good, and you are so energetic, and it just flows for you. And that is the power of autonomy. Oh, I need to climb this. There's a fence, but there's a hole in the fence over there. Ugh! Motherfucker! Where am I? Oh, it's a quarry! I've never been here. Quarries are so cool. One of the components of flow is that you feel a sense of control and a sense of agency over the task that you're performing, which is the same thing that Pink talks about when he talks about autonomy. And to me, all that makes sense, but it's also very tricky for me to transport that into any kind of professional situation, because to me the very definition of a job is that you're doing something that other people need and they are willing to pay you for that. How can this be reconciled with autonomy? I think about this subject a lot and it frustrates me to no end. See this? This is cool. There's been a lot of research on this in psychology over the years, and there's actually a theory around this called motivation crowding theory. And it deals with situations like the one I'm experiencing today, or the situation that you would experience if you say that you were at your partner's parents' house and you've just had a nice dinner that they offered you, and you say that, wow, this was such a nice dinner, thank you so much. I would like to offer you $100 for this dinner. Even though you are now offering more than just the thanks, you have just made yourself a really weird person, and you have even somehow cheapened the dinner, right? And this is what motivation crowding theory deals with. There is actually a very specific term for this whole situation, and it's called the over-justification effect. It's when you add a reward to a previously unrewarded activity, and that causes the motivation to shift from inner motivation to outer motivation, which then undermines the inner motivation. But this doesn't tell the whole story, because this doesn't always happen. I've done tons of work where I've been rewarded handsomely for them, but I've still felt in control and autonomous and have been highly motivated while doing them. So why does this happen in some cases and in some cases not? There are, of course, some other clever chaps that have made another theory about this. And it's called the cognitive evaluation theory. And that theory attempts to explain when outer motivation will destroy inner motivation and when it will not. So what cognitive evaluation theory suggests is that there are two factors at play when you're confronted with an external motivator and how that will affect your motivation. And those two factors are our need to feel competent and our need to feel in control. Let's first talk about our need to feel competent. I mentioned self-efficacy earlier, and self-efficacy is the feeling that I am capable of this. You judge yourself on your capabilities and you determine that this given task, that's within your abilities. Self-efficacy is a more specific term than self-confidence, which is a more general concept. For instance, I don't wear this hat a lot because I don't feel self-confident enough to actually pull it off. I feel like a steampunk douchebag. However, oh my god, the wind is picking up. My self-efficacy, on the other hand, that's more specific. My self-efficacy around solving a complicated programming problem, that might be very high. I feel like I could do that. I don't know if anybody is here, you know? I can't see any people, and it's Sunday. I'm recording these on Sundays, by the way. Yet, like, these things, they make all kinds of noise all the time. That thing over there, that's just... it's a scary place. I wouldn't want to walk here at night. But this is so cool. This is so big. And your self-efficacy might very well be helped if somebody offers you a lot of money to do something, because that you could interpret that as somebody, wow, this person really believes I can do this. Or if you're about to give a talk and a lot of people sign up for your talk, and it seems like, wow, they signed up for my talk, they believe in my abilities, and that might also cause me to believe in my own abilities. My self-efficacy increases and my motivation increases. But my need to feel competent is not the only thing that is at play here, remember? It's also my need to feel in control. Humans don't like... Oh my god. Just look at this building! It is so cool and so scary, and just have a look at this window here. This is where they keep the serial killer. Humans don't like to feel like we're being controlled. Maybe it's some evolutionary thing, I don't know. But we don't like feeling like we're being controlled, like we're being coerced into something. It's starting to rain a little. I'm gonna find a roof to stand under. So when you're in a situation where somebody offers you a lot of money to do something, or if a lot of people sign up for your talk, or if a lot of people star your open source project on GitHub, that might make you feel more competent and admired, and that might raise your self-efficacy. But it might also trigger that part of your brain that don't like to be controlled. If it does, it will feel like all of this money or this attention is being somehow used to control you. It's pressuring you to do something. And then you will not feel motivated. Jesus, it's really starting to pour down. The annoying part is that I don't know in practice how to not trigger the fear of being controlled whenever I get confronted with an external incentive. Whenever money or deadlines or view counts or likes get involved, I tend to, like, my motivation just tends to go out the window, and I still lack good tooling to deal with this. Do you recognize yourself in this at all? Was this even useful? Maybe this is just me and some people writing research papers. But if you do recognize yourself, have you found some way of dealing with this? If so, please write a comment down below, because I really would like to know. That is it for this episode of FunFunFunction. I release these every week on Monday morning, 0800 GMT. If you like this episode, you should watch that one. Or if you don't want to wait that long, you could check out another episode here. I am going to push through the rain now. I am MPJ. This is FunFunFunction. Until next Monday morning, stay curious. What? They have a laboratory? Really?